Hey everyone, welcome back to Shivastra. In today's video, we are going to read two blocks of BEGC 112, British Literature, Early 20th Century. Block 1, Modernism, and Block 2, Novel. So let's begin with Modernism. Modernism is a style of writing and art that began in the early 20th century, 1900 to 1930. It came after the Victorian period when many changes were happening in the world, like World War I, industrialization, and new ideas in science and psychology. Writers and artists during this time wanted to break away from old tradition. They started expressing themselves in new ways through literature, art, music, dance, and architecture. Modernism was a reaction to the fast changing world. People were moving from villages to cities, machines were taking over, and many felt lost and confused. So, modernist writers started showing real emotion, inner thought, and a complex human behavior in their work. In short, modernism means breaking old style and trying new, bold ways to show real life emotion and the confusion of the modern world. Here are the key points of modernism. Modernism means new way of writing and thinking, focused on personal feeling, confusion and change, rejected old tradition like classicism, romanticism and Victorian ideas, influenced by World War I, freer psychology and social changes, wanted to show the truth of modern life even it was uncomfortable or strange. Example of modernist writer are T.S. Eliot, Virginia Woolf, James Joyce. And here are the time periods of modernism 1900 to 1930, postmodernism after World War II 1945 to 1990s, and postmodernism and metamodernism from 1990s to now. So here let's talk about the postmodernism, not metamodernism. Sorry, it is wrong. Okay, it is wrong. Don't read it. I'm so sorry. It is only postmodernism. So, postmodernism is a style of writing, art, and thinking that started around the 1960s after World War II. It came after modernism. Postmodernism believes that there is no single truth in the world. Everyone sees things in their own way, and that is okay. Writers and artists started doing things differently. Their work was full of irony, humor, and self reflection. They didn't care if things were serious or silly. They liked to surprise the audience. They broke old rule of writing and made stories that were funny, confusing, or even strange. They mixed real and fake things. Sometimes they even talk to the reader in the story. Postmodernism does not try to give one clear message. Instead, it shows that life is not always simple or clear. Let's talk about the rise of modernism and postmodernism. So, modernism started in early 20th century mainly after World War I. The war shocked the world with its violence and destruction. At the same time, cities were growing quickly because of new machines and industries. Life was changing fast and people began to feel lost and confused. They no longer believed that everything was fine just because God was in heaven. People started asking, if God exists, why is there so much suffering? This made many lose faith in religion and instead trust in human power and ideas. They wanted to take control of their own lives and create a better world without waiting for help from above. Inspired by thinkers like Nietzsche, people started believing we should become strong and make our own future. In art and literature, this led to new style, new way of writing, and breaking old rule. Writers began to show real problem, inner thoughts, and modern struggles instead of just following traditional storytelling. Now, the rise of postmodernism. Postmodernism began after World War II. People had already lost faith during the First War, but the second one brought even more pain and hopelessness. The world had changed completely. People no longer believed in one truth or one way of thinking. Postmodernism said there is no single answer or truth, everyone sees the world differently. Artists and writers began to mix different styles, use humor, irony, and write in non-traditional ways. Their work often showed that life is full of confusion, doubt, and no clear meaning. They believe that there is no perfect world, and sometimes it's okay to accept the mess and create your own meaning. Here are the characteristics of modernism. Number one, break from tradition. Modernist writers and artists rejected old rules and traditional way. They didn't want to follow the styles of the past like romanticism or realism. Instead, they wanted to explore new form of expression that matched the fast-changing world. Experimentation in form and style. Modernism brought new ways of writing and creating art. In literature, there were no fixed storylines. Writers used open endings, non-linear timeline, and stream of consciousness. showing inner thoughts. In art and music, traditional beauty was replaced with abstract, bold, and often confusing style. Loss of faith in religion and society. After the World War and industrial changes, people lost faith in God, religion, and social system. They began to feel that life had no clear meaning, and this sadness and confusion appeared in modernist literature and art. Focus on inner self and mind. Modernist works focused more on the individual inner world, their thought, feeling, and struggle. Writers showed how people felt confused, lonely, or broken in a world that no longer made sense. Use of symbol and images. Modernist writers use symbol, images, and metaphors to express deep meaning instead of saying things directly. They wanted the reader to think and interpret what the text really meant. Fragmentation. Modernist texts often felt disconnected or broken like a puzzle. Instead of smooth, clear story, they gave pieces and fragments that the reader had to put together. This showed how modern life itself felt broken and uncertain. Absurdity and meaninglessness. Some modernist works showed life as absurd or meaningless. There was no guarantee of a happy ending. People were shown as lost or helpless, living in a confusing world with no clear answer. Blending of genres. In modernism, genres were mixed. Poetry sounded like prose, novels had poetic language, writers didn't stick to one style, they mixed everything to create something fresh and new. Minimalism in architecture. In design and architecture, modernism focused on clean line, geometric shapes, and no decoration. Buildings were simple, strong, and made with modern material like glass, steel, and concrete. And the last one is nostalgia and sadness. Even though modernists wanted to move forward, there was often a deep sadness about what was lost. In poems like The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, we see a world full of emotional dryness, spiritual emptiness, and the loss of meaning. Here are the characteristics of postmodernism. Number 1. Enjoying fragmentation. Modernism feels sad about the loss of old value, but postmodernism accepts and even enjoys this brokenness. It gives freedom from fixed belief and rules. Style and simplicity. Modernism focused on simplicity and avoided too much decoration. Postmodernism continued this but took it further. For example, Samuel Beckett wrote plays that were short and had very few actors and simple clothes, but still sharp, deep meaning about life. Themes of meaninglessness. Many postmodern works show the idea that life has no clear meaning. They talk about confusion, hopelessness, and the search for purpose that may never come. Mixing genres. Postmodern writing does not stick to one style. A single story can be a mix of thriller, myth, detective story, or psychology. It blends everything to break rule. Language is empty. Writers like Samuel Beckett used language to show that words are often empty and cannot fully explain real feeling or truth. This showed the failure of language. Past with irony. Modernism often broke away from the past, but postmodernism looked back at the past with sarcasm or irony. For example, Beckett's Waiting for Godot, the character wait for someone, Godot, who never come. It shows how we wait for help or meaning that may never arrive. Imaginary world. In some work like Three Sisters by Chekhov, characters imagine better places like Moscow to escape their boring life. These dreams are more like fake reality, showing how we often fool ourselves with hopes. Now here, postmodernism criticism. Number 1. Life feels meaningless. Postmodern literature often talk about how life feels confusing and without clear meaning. Writers show that people have lost hope and finding any real purpose or order in life. Mix of style and broken language. Postmodern stories don't follow just one type. They mix different styles like thriller, myth, detective story, or psychological fiction. Also, a writer like Samuel Beckett used language in a strange way to show that words often feel empty and can't truly explain deep or spiritual idea. Looking at the past with sarcasm. Unlike modernism, postmodernism does not completely reject the past, instead it looks back with irony or sarcasm. For example, in Waiting for Godot, two men wait for someone called Godot who never comes. This shows how people wait for something like a god or savior to fix their problem, but it never happens. Another example is Lucky's speech in the same play is just random as crazy word that mock the old belief in clear, powerful language. Dreams that are not real. In Three Sisters by Anton Chekhov, the sisters keep waiting for someone or something to change their boring life. They imagine a perfect life in Moscow, mixing memories and dreams, but it is not real. It is just a fake picture of hope. Now let's talk about a most postmodernism in literature and art. So postmodernism literature still keeps some ideas from postmodernism, like breaking the usual story rule, using different style, playing with language, but it go one step further. So, in postmodern literature, writers often made fun of everything. They used irony, saying the opposite of what they mean, sarcasm, and some things sometimes didn't care much about feeling. It was all about being clever or confusing the reader. But postmodern writers want to bring back real emotion. They believe that books should not only make readers think, but also make them feel. These writers talk about real life people problems like sadness, loneliness, mental health, love, death, and human connection. They mix playfulness with honesty. Even if they use joke or irony, it is not just to make fun. It is to show the truth in a new day. They are sincere and their story often show people struggling, growing, or trying to understand the world. Here's the example of Craig Ryan, a well-known postmodern poet, wrote in a style that was imaginative and playful, but also made readers see ordinary life in a new emotional way. In his poem, A Martian Sends a Postcard Home, he described everyday human things like books, telephone, and sleep through the eyes of a Martian who does not understand the earth. For example, he calls book mechanical bird with many wings and sleep the time when people disappear nightly. It sounds funny, but it is also a deep reminder of how strange and magical normal life really is. Ryan wanted readers to look at the world differently, with fresh eyes, and to feel wonder about the simple thing again. He mixes creativity with meaning, a true mark of postmodern literature. So basically, postmodern literature equals to emotion plus honesty plus creativity plus real life problem. And let's talk about in postmodern art. So in the world of art, postmodernism made artists question everything: beauty, tradition, even the idea of truth. They often created strange, confusing, or funny art that made people wonder what it really meant. Sometimes it felt like the art didn't mean anything at all. It was just meant to shock or joke. But now, postmodernism artists want to bring meaning back. They still use modern and creative style, but they also focus on feeling, beauty, and storytelling again. These artists believe that art can still be deep and emotional while also being fun or unusual. They blend the old and the new, for example, mixing classical painting style with modern ideas or technology. Their goal is to touch the heart and mind. They might question society, but not just for fun. They are looking for answers, connection, and truth. Art can be beautiful but strange, funny but serious, sad but hopeful. So basically, postmodern art equals to emotion plus new idea, meaningful messages, and mixing style. Now, modernism in literature and art. Modernism in literature started in early 1900s. At that time, the world was changing very fast because of war, machines, cities, and new idea. Writers felt confused, so they wanted to write in a new ways. They stopped using old story style with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Instead, they wrote about how people really think and feel, even if it was a messy or sad. They showed confusion, fear, and the problem of modern life. These stories were sometimes hard to understand, but they are honest. Writers wanted to show real life, not perfect story. For example, James Joyce, a modernist writer, wrote book like Ulysses. He showed how people think inside their mind, thought they jump around, change quickly, and are not always clear. In short, modernist literature equals to real life plus new writing style plus deep thought plus feeling of confusion and change. Modernism in art. So modernism in art also started in early 1900s. Artists didn't want to paint just pretty or perfect things anymore. They wanted to show feeling, ideas, and the truth, even if it looks strange. Instead of making art that looked real, they tried new shape, bright color, and different way of showing people and places. Some paintings look simple or weird, but they had deep meaning. Artists believe art should make you feel something or think in a new way. For example, Pablo Picasso, a modernist artist, made painting where faces and bodies looked broken or in pieces. His famous painting Guernica shows pain and war, but not in a normal, clear way. In short, modernism art is equals to new style plus strong feeling plus deep idea plus not always realistic. Now let's talk about a modernism in poetry. So modernism in poetry was a big change in the way people wrote poems. Earlier poems used to follow rules like rhyme, rhythm, and fixed structure, but modernist poets broke those rules. They wanted to write about real feeling, modern life, and the confusion of the world after the world war and changes in society. So here are the features of the modernist poetry. Free verse. It means no rhyme or rhythm. Old poem had rhyming word and musical beat, but modernist poem don't always rhyme. They are written like natural talking or thinking. They don't follow a fixed pattern. Real emotion. Modernist poets write about pain, loneliness, sadness, war, or how people feel lost or confused in the modern world. They don't try to make everything look beautiful, they show truth even if it is dark. New ideas and theme. Instead of love or nature like old poem, modernist poetry talk about city life, war, depression, mental struggle, questioning religion or life's meaning. Simple language but deep meaning. They use simple language but they make you think deeply. Even short poem can have strong messages about life. Use of symbol and images. So modernist poet use symbol and images to show feeling. For example, broken glass might mean a broken heart or broken word. Fog could mean confusion in life. So here the last one, no clear ending. Their poems may not have a clear lesson or happy ending. It can feel like a puzzle, you have to understand it in your own way. So here are some famous modernist poets, T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound. Now let's talk about a paleo-modernism, which is old modernism. So what is the difference between a paleo-modernism and neo-modernism? Neo-modernism means new. So the word new means new and paleo means old. So paleomodernism is the first or early part of modernism. It started in the late 1800s to early 1900s. Writer and artists did not like old style like romantic story or realistic picture. They wanted to show real life, even if life was sad or confusing. Big events like World War I and factory growing industrialization changed their thinking. So, now let's talk about a new modernism. New modernism is the new or second part of modernism. It started in the middle and late 1900s and is still seen today. It still uses some ideas from the old modernism but talks about today's life, like technology, big city, and word problem. It mixes old modernist style with the new tools like computer, video, and internet. Famous people like a new writer, artist, movie maker who use modern style in today's world. Okay, I didn't mention it. Basically, it is not that important, so just revise it. Okay. World War One and British literature, early 20th century. So it is important, which comes in a previous year question paper. It is a short note. So let's begin. World War One started in 1914 to 1918. Was a big war that changed the world. It also changed how people wrote and thought. Before the war, British literature was full of hope, beauty, and old tradition. But after the war, many people felt shocked, sad, and confused. They saw death, pain, and destruction, and this changed how writers wrote. Writers stopped using happy or romantic story. Instead, they showed real life, fear, loneliness, and the meaninglessness of war. They wrote in a new, different style because of the old way didn't feel right anymore. Famous writers and work are Wilfred Owen, wrote poem like Dulce et Decorum Est, showing the pain of war. Siegfried Sassoon, also a war poet who wrote about how war is not growing glorious but terrible. Virginia Woolf and T.S. Eliot wrote about how people feel lost and confused after the war. So World War One made British literature more serious, sad, and realistic. Writer wanted to know how war hurt people and changes the world forever. Here is the relationship between the modernism and tradition. Modernism is a new way of thinking in art and literature that started in early 1900s. It came after people got tired of old rule and tradition. Modernism did not completely forget tradition, but it challenged it. Modernist writers and artists want to create something new and fresh, not just follow the old style like romanticism or realism. They believed that the old way could not explain modern life, a world that had changed after events like World War One, machines, and cities. So modernism broke away from tradition, sometimes used traditional idea in a new or creative way, mixed old and new style, respected the past but did not want to copy it. So modernism and tradition are connected, but modernism tries to change tradition to fit the new fast and sometimes confusing modern world. Here, the modernism in novel. Modernism in novel means a new and a different way of writing story that started in the early 1900s. It broke the old rule and tried to show the real feeling, thought, and the confusion of people living in a fast changing world. Basically, these all are same. Just remember the time period of this, okay? So here are the key features: no clear story order, focus on mind, theme of sadness and confusion, broken or open ending, new writing style, less about outside world, more about inside feeling. So modernism happened. Why modernism happened? After World War One, people felt shocked, broken, and lost. Life was changing fast because of machines, cities, and science. Old story didn't make sense anymore, so writers made new ways. Famous writer and novels: James Joyce, Ulysses; Virginia Woolf, Mrs. Dalloway; Franz Kafka, The Metamorphoses; and D.H. Lawrence's and Lovers. Now, modernism in drama. Modernism in drama means a new way of writing play in the early 1900s. It broke the old rule of drama and showed real life problem, deep emotion, and how people feel confused or lost in the modern world. Here are the key features: real problem, no happy ending, inner thought, simple sitting, different from old plays, open to ideas. So here are some famous modernist playwrights: Samuel Beckett, Henrik Ibsen, Bertolt Brecht, T.S. Eliot. Now, Britain in the early 20th century. The early 20th century was a time of big change in Britain. It started around 1900 and continued through the 1920 and beyond. During this time, people saw war and new invention and changes in how they lived and thought. World War I, 1914 to 1918, had a strong effect on everyone. People began to question old ideas about religion, society, and even the government. Women started to fight for equal rights, and cities became easier with new technology. These changes also shaped British art, book, and theatre. Writers and artists wanted new ways to show the feeling of people living in this fast and confusing world. World War One changed everything. World War One was a huge event that killed millions of people, including many British soldiers. This war caused a lot of sadness and pain. After the war, people felt confused and lost. The old way of thinking about bravery, honor, and country did not make sense anymore. Writer and poet began to write about the fear, pain, and the meaninglessness of war. It made people think deeply about the life and question everything. Women's role in society began to change. Before this time, women in Britain had very few rights, but during the war, they worked in factories and helped in many important jobs. After the war, people saw that the women were strong and smart too. In 1918, some women got the right to vote for the first time. They started a new wave of hope and change as women started asking for equal respect in society. Rise of new technology and fast life. In the early 20th century, inventions like car, airplane, and radio became more common. Cities grew bigger and people moved faster than before. This new life was exciting but also stressful. It changed the way people lived, worked, and even thought. Writers and artists began to show these fast and confusing feelings in their work, using new style like modernism. Declining of the old tradition and beliefs. People in Britain began to lose faith in old tradition like religion, the royal family, and the social rule. The war, science, and modern life made many people feel that the old beliefs were not helpful anymore. Writers started to show the world as a broken or uncertain. They stopped using old, beautiful way of writing that tried new way that showed real emotion and thoughts. Growth of modernism in art and literature. Because life was changing so much, artists and writers wanted to break the rule of the past. They didn't want to write or paint in the old romantic or simple way. Instead, they tried new forms like poetry with broken line, play without a clear story, and novel that show people thought directly. This new style was called modernism, and it became very popular in Britain during this time. Here's the verse drama. Verse drama is a type of play where most of the lines are written in a poetry form, not normal like talking prose. That means characters speak in rhyming or rhythmic lines, just like in a poem. It is a mix of drama, acting, and poetry words. In old time, many famous plays were written like this. Even though it is a play, the language feels beautiful, deep, and musical, not like everyday talking. It is written in poetry, not prose. Unlike regular play where people talk normally, verses drama are written like poems. Each line may have a rhythm called remeter, and sometimes it even rhymes. This gives a play a musical and serious feeling. Focus on emotion and big idea. Verse drama is often used to talk about big topics like love, death, fate, or war. The poetic style helps house strong emotions and deep thought. That's why many tragic and epic stories are written this way. Special language style, imagery and metaphor. The language in verse drama is rich and creative. Writer use imagery, metaphor and symbol to express feeling and meaning. It is not plain speech. It feels more powerful and artistic. Used in classical and modern plays. Famous old writers like William Shakespeare used verse in their plays. Even in modern times, some writers still use verse to create dramatic and poetic effect. So verse drama can be old or new depending on how it is written. Sounds beautiful but when performed. Because it is poetic, verse drama sound beautiful on stage, actor must speak clearly and with emotion. So the rhythm and meaning of the line can touch the audience heart. What is epic theater? Epic theater is a special kind of drama where the audience is not supposed to get lost in the story. Instead, the goal is to make the audience think about real-world problems like poverty, war, or injustice. It tries to teach a lesson or send a strong social or political message. This style of theater was made popular by Bertolt Brecht, a German playwright. Makes the audience think, not just feel, breaking the illusion. Simple sets and props, use of songs, narrators, and signs, a strong social or political message. So here our block 1 is completed. Thank you very much, Har Har Mahadev. Now let's move on to the second block, which is a novel. So here are the important question. You can read it before starting our story of our sons and lover. Okay, we will read, but not now. Here are the Sons and Lover is an autobiographical novel. Here are the important questions. So you just read it. Or let me read it for you. Okay, wait. Influence on Freud on early 20th century Britain. Who was Freud? Sigmund Freud was a doctor from Austria. He studied the human mind. He tried to understand why people think, feel, act in a certain ways. He believed that many of our thoughts come from the unconscious mind, the part of the mind we don't even know is working. How Freud influenced Britain. So, new way to understand the mind. Before Freud, people didn't talk much about the thoughts, dream, and feeling. Freud taught that our past, childhood, and deep feelings shape who we are. People in Britain started thinking more about how the mind works. Focus on childhood. Freud said that childhood is very important. What happened to us as children can affect us when we grow up. British writers and thinkers began to show childhood memory in their work. Dreams became important. Freud said that dreams tell us that what we really feel inside. British people got more interested in dream and their hidden meaning. Even writers used dream in story to show characters' feeling. New styles in book and play. Freud idea helped change the way writers wrote. They started writing about feeling, fear, and inner thought. They used style like a stream of consciousness which show what is happening inside the character mind. People talk more about emotion. Freud made it okay to talk about feelings, sadness, anger, and even love in deeper way. This helped writers and artists express more emotions openly. Basically, Freud changed the way people in the early 20th century Britain thought about the mind, emotion, dream, and childhood. He helped writers and artists understand people better and made them show those deep feelings in their work. So, D.H. Lawrence's later novel, Short Note. D.H. Lawrence's later novel explored deep human emotion, political travels, and the effect of war. In The Lost Girl 1920, the story follows Albina Houghton from the Midlands to Italy, showing her desire of freedom and self-discovery. Aaron Rodd 1922 focused on a man named Aaron who leaves his family to find independence, showing Lawrence's view against marriage and traditional role. This novel began his interest in leadership and strong male character. Next one is Kangaroo, 1923, written during Lawrence's visit to Australia, show political power and the search for manliness through a leader of a secret group. It also reflects the emotional damage caused by World War I. The Boy in the Bush, 1924, co-written with Molly Skinner, is about Jack Grant's growth while exploring the Australian outback. In The Plum Serpent, 1926, an Irish woman gets involved in ancient Mexican religious revival. This shows Lawrence's interest in old culture and spiritual renewal. Lastly, Lady Chatterley's Lover, 1928, returns to England and tells the story of love and class difference. It was banned for many years because of its bold content. Overall, these novels show Lawrence's interest in freedom, power, love, and how travel changes people. Why Sons and Lover is a regional novel. So here are the answer. Because place and setting, local life and people, language based on the writer's life. So because of these reasons, it is regional novel, and it is also a psychological novel. Okay. So what are the symbols in this? The coal mine and darkness. nature, trees, flower, and field. Gertrude model the mother as a symbol, light and darkness, flower as a symbol, the bedroom, mother's room, water, river and washing scene, letters and writing, the mirror, death as a symbol. So here are the 10 symbols in this Son and Lover. So basically Son and Lover as an autobiographical novel. How? So D.S. Lawrence's novel Son and Lover is based on his own life, which is why we call it a semi-autobiographical. Just like the main character Paul Morrell, Lawrence also grew up in a coal mining town in England. His mother was educated and gentle, while his father was a coal miner who drank and fought it a lot. Lawrence was very close to his mother. Their strong bond made it hard for him to connect deeply with other women. Just like Paul in the novel, the character of Gertrude Morrell is based on Lawrence's real mother. And the character of Paul is inspired by Lawrence himself. He also had an older brother who died young, similar to William in the story, because the story matches many real event and feeling. From his own life, Son and Lover is seen as partly his life story in fiction form. So, Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence. Here's the small introduction. So, Son and Lover is a famous novel written by D.H. Lawrence. It was first published in 1913. It is a story about a young boy named Paul Morrell, his family, and his deep love with his mother, Gertrude Morrell. The novel is set in a coal mining town in England in the early 1900s. It shows how Paul's strong love for his mother affects his life, his dream, and his relationship with other women. The book also talks about family problem, love, emotion, and the struggle of working class life. It is partly based on the writer's own life, as I told you. Here's the overall summary. The beginning, family life. The story begins with Gertrude Coppard, a gentle and educated woman who marries Walter Morrell, a coal miner. She thought he was strong and exciting, but after marriage she realizes he is not well educated and drinks too much. Their relationship becomes unhappy. He spends money on drink and often behaves badly. Gertrude regrets marrying him. They live in a poor mining area and life is tough. Gertrude feels stuck in her marriage, so she turns her love and attention to her children. Even though there is no real love between them, they still have 4 children: William, Paul, Annie, and Arthur. She wants her children to grow up and live better lives than hers. Now here's the William story. William, the oldest son, is her favorite at first. He is smart and works hard. Gertrude pushes him to be successful. He moves to London and gets a good job. He sends money home and becomes engaged to a girl there. But Gertrude doesn't like the girl. William becomes unhappy. Suddenly, William becomes sick and dies of pneumonia. His death breaks Gertrude's heart. She becomes quiet and sad. Now her focus moves to Paul, her second son. Paul's growth and relationship with his mother. Paul is sensitive, shy, and artistic. He paints and writes poetry. He also works in a factory. He becomes very close to his mother after William's death. Gertrude gives him all her love and support. Paul also deeply loves his mother and feels happy when he makes her proud. This strong bond between Paul and his mother becomes a problem later. It makes it hard for Paul to form deep romantic relationship with other women. He also compares them to his mother. Paul and Miriam. Paul meets Miriam Levers, a sweet and intelligent girl who loves book and nature. They have a deep emotional connection. They talk about art, life, and feeling. But Miriam is shy and serious, and their relationship is not very physical. Paul becomes frustrated, and his mother does not like Miriam either. Because of this, Paul breaks up with Miriam. He tells her that he cannot fully love her the way she wants. Still, Miriam continues to care for him. Paul and Clara. Later, Paul meets Clara Dawes, a strong and bold woman who is separated from her husband. Clara is older and more confident than Miriam. She and Paul start a passionate and physical relationship. For the first time, Paul explores love and desire with a woman. But even with Clara, Paul feels something is missing. He cannot fully commit to her. His feelings for his mother are still very, very strong. Clara wants more from the relationship, but Paul cannot give it. In the end, Clara goes back to her husband. Gertrude, illness and death. Paul's mother became very sick with cancer. Paul takes care of her with deep love and patience. He is with her every day and her health gets worse. She is in a lot of pain and the doctors cannot help her much. Finally, Paul and his sister Annie give their mother medicine to help her die peacefully. It is a very painful moment for Paul. After Gertrude dies, Paul feels lost and empty. His whole world was centered around her. Without her, he doesn't know what to do or where to go. He feels alone. The ending, a new start. After his mother's death, Paul is heartbroken. He meets Miriam again, and she offers comfort. She wants to marry him, but Paul refuses. He feels that his love for his mother will always stop him from full loving another woman. In the final scene, Paul is walking alone at night, thinking about his mother, his past, and what to do next. He decides that he must live on and find his own way, even if it is hard. He chooses life and independence instead of giving up in sadness. Here are the themes: mother son relationship, family and marriage problem, love and relationship, struggle between duty and desire, social class and work life, search for identity and freedom, class and social mobility, which is very important theme. Please revise it. So in Sun and Lover, the writer D.S. Lawrence show how people from poor family dream of living a better life. Paul's family belongs to the working class because his father is a coal miner. They live in a small mining town where life is hard. Paul's mother, Gertrude Morrell, is more educated and wants her children to grow up, get job, and move to a higher class society. This dream is called social mobility, trying to move from a poor life to the better one. William, the eldest son, becomes successful and get a job in London, but he still feels unhappy and dies early. Paul also works in a factory and becomes an artist. He tries to rise above his poor background, but he is always pulled back by his strong bond with his mother and his own inner struggle. The novels show that even when someone wants a better life, it is not easy to escape poverty or social class. Family pressure, emotion, and society make it difficult. This is why class and social mobility is one of the main themes of the story. And here is the short essay Psychoanalysis in Son and Lover. Psychoanalytic, maybe. Okay. So here is the answer. Because this question appears in a previous year question, then you can read it by your own. Okay. I'm so sorry, my health is not good really right now. So our block 2 is also completed. Thank you very much. Har Har Mahadev. I hope you all like this video. And now next video we will talk about a block 3, which is novel 2, Stream of Consciousness, Virginia Woolf, Mrs. Dalloway, and poetry. For the second coming, Journey of the Magi, the Unknown Citizen, I think continuity of those who were really great. We will cover these 2 blocks in the next video. So I will upload the next video very soon. Take care. Har Har Mahadev.